We've been forced to tolerate the manipulative douchebaggery of F-boys for far too long. And that's why we're here. Welcome to F-Boy Island.
Garrett and Fernando, thank you guys so much for stopping by.
Yeah, thank you for having us on the podcast.
Absolutely.
Let's go.
This is exciting.
It's so nice to see you again. I know last time the anticipation was building on the show releasing, but how do you feel that it's out now?
Weight off my chest, honestly. Like, I don't even know how other shows do it with the turnaround times being months and maybe years. Like, ours was 3 months. And I'm so grateful. I really want to see how I am and how everybody else is. And of course, all the things I didn't see, even though I was there.
Yeah, that's true. Because the thing is like when you go into a house with all of these guys, you have 24 guys that are there right off rip. So you have all these alphas that go in and everything like that. And I think the craziest thing is like, again, like what you're saying is like seeing who people were when they were there. And it's like you can understand who everyone else is, but sometimes it's like, wait a second, when you take a look in the mirror, you're like, who am I? So then when you see it played back, you're like, wait, that's what I was saying? Like, I was talking reckless. Like,
I don't even
what?
remember that.
Yeah. And other people, too. Like, when it comes to interviews, there's like, yo, some people had, like, all-star seasons in the interview room, but when they were out there, like, on the floor, it was like, wait, what? Like, this dude, yeah, you sitting on the bench, bro. Like, you on the bench.
Exactly.
Now, we all want to know, first and foremost, what is a fuckboy? Like, what do you guys consider an F-boy, for those who don't know?
I think you should take it away.
Yeah. All right, so I would say there's a couple different types of F-boys. I think for me, the biggest thing, especially being on the show, was like, what I realized on the show was that a lot of times in like my past, like I would like be with someone and then I would just ghost. I wouldn't talk to them. I just like wouldn't like, cause I didn't want to hurt them, but ultimately by me not like telling them like, hey, this is over, this is done, and just ghosting and not answering, like hurts them that much more. So on the show, there's a lot of things that happened to me where I had to confront situations. Also, you're in this experience and you don't have your phone, you can't run away, there's no distractions. So you're put on blast and you gotta face the truth head on. So for me, like, you know, in my past, it was like, you know, when I think of a fuckboy, like I think of someone who just like, where it was for me, it was like, you know, I wouldn't like manipulate or lie to girls in order to like get them to sleep with me, which is like what a lot of people would portray an F-boy as. It was like, I was real with you, but then when it came to the time that I wanted to cut it off, I would just ghost. So, and that's not a good way to do it. But, you know, again, like there's other people who like, you know, I think are true F-boy. And again, everyone has their own definition of an F-boy. Like even Anthony was like, no, like for him, it was like, I just like sleep with a lot of girls and that's it. Like, but that's how, like, but for like a true F-boy, like someone that I think is really, really an F-boy, like a fuckboy, is someone who does lie, manipulate girls, like tell them like, yo, I'm gonna put a baby in you, like I wanna marry you, X, Y, and Z, like does all that type of shit to get what they want. And then again, like they're just kind of like a dick and they move on to the next. And it's like these victims.
I agree, because I mean, we've all dated, and I think the biggest thing is when a man manipulates you, it makes it seem like it's gonna be more than what it is, and then gets what he wants. But you can see, you know, throughout the cast, some people were very, you know, direct and just like, hey, like this is who I am. But it's a manipulation that makes it really like, you know, how do I believe like who you are? So tell us about, you know, who you guys are outside the show. Who's Garrett? Who's Fernando?
You want to start, Mr.? Yo, I'm 225. I got 2 degrees.
Crazy.
Yeah, let's go resume.
I'm your favorite guy on the show, all right? I'm the 6'2", 225 doctor of chiropractic medicine and next bobsled Olympic hopper for the United States, all right? I'm on Team Nakia all the way from beginning to end, and you just gotta find out what happened.
AKA Nasty Nando.
Hey, I'm talking nice all show, all season. Y'all won't ever see me break a sweat. I'm cool.
Yeah, so, you know, I'm Garrett Morosky. I'm an accredited,
I'm all reserved.
I'm an accredited investor. You know, I spent about 3 years out in China manufacturing products for people. When COVID hit, I saw that there was, you know, a short supply of medical PPE. Manufactured a lot of medical PPE. Made a lot of money off that, and then I invested in multiple companies. One of my favorites, Fit Plan app, that the boys are about to go on. Yeah, so, you know, we're gonna, you know, sun's out, guns out. We're still training right now. We got to get back on the diet plan. But yeah, that's me. And then, you know, on the show, yeah, I'm your notorious F-boy, you know? But that's the thing, and this is crazy because, you know, Greg should be here. And like, shout out to Greg, he's my guy. when he was on the show, he was the most real person on the show. And it's crazy. Like after the show, like it was like giant therapy. And like I just said, you can't run away from situations. You have to face them head on. One thing I've taken away from the show, and now I'm using in real life, is being straight up with people and literally being like, hey, you know what? Like I am emotionally unavailable. Like if you want to kick it, you want to go on dates, you want to go travel, you want me to come over at 2 p.m. because you're horny and you want to fuck, like let's run it. Like, and people are so much, and after doing that and being blatantly honest,
A weight's probably lifted.
a weight is lifted off, and it's like, and the people are cool with it. And then after like experiencing that and knowing that's how it is, I'm like, bro, what have you been doing your entire life? Like you could have just been straight up, like. In the past, yeah, you know,
because you never know where women are at, you know, in their process
Exactly.
too. Like if they're with the dating, you know, time period, they're more casual. Like what vibe they're in, where you just keep it honest. You know, I get you farther.
Exactly, and then they want to be with you that much more because you're like, yo, I'm emotionally unavailable. Like,
I think that's
which is
how
crazy.
you transition though from being that F-boy into a nice guy.
Yeah.
Because like you got to know what you've done, and you have to be able to realize and accept and recognize your mistakes. Exactly. In order for you to move on. Like if you can't accept yourself and know what you want independently, there's no way you can expect somebody else to know what you want, or even vice versa. So you got to go through these stages. You got to lose before you can win.
And as we make that point, the executive producer of the show, who was also one of the producers for The Bachelor, Elon Gale, he had recently stated in an interview that this show, he wanted to show a more realistic and reflective view of our dating culture in 2021. The ghosting, the swiping left, the endless choices. How has it been for dating with you guys, just living in LA and just being a millennial in this time frame?
Dating in LA is very interesting. It's when you stand out anywhere. And you know, there's superstars everywhere, there's gorgeous people everywhere. And when you walk into a room, if you automatically command attention, it's pretty easy. You know, you can do what you want, you can say what you want, and you can leave with whoever you want. And that's just the reality of it, whether you're an F-boy or a nice guy, whether that lasts 12 hours or 2 hours. You know, like it is what it is. And so coming into this situation, we all had that as a background, for so to say. So,
well, some of us did. Like people who came from like smaller areas, bro. Like, no offense, like a lot of them, like they're weak over like some of these girls, and like their game was like you just see how their real life game is. That's the thing. That's what I'm saying. You have 24 dudes go in. You have 3 more guys come in, so there's 27 dudes total. You all come into a house, all alphas, all everyone thinking that they hook up with the hottest girls, maybe back home in Toledo, Ohio, or like no offense, Colin and Casey, love you boys to death. But again, that's the first city that came to my head. But these small towns, and it's like the difference from like those to LA, it's a whole different ballgame. So when you're from LA and you've been out here, I've been out here for 7 years. So like when I see like girls and stuff like that, like for me it's no problem. Like some of these guys, like bro, they couldn't even talk to the girls. Matt the Rat, like literally, like they didn't even show him talking to girls because he was like quivering in his jeans while he was trying to talk to them. Like he was just like sweating profusely. They didn't show any of that. So the guys who didn't get cuts with the girls, it's just because like, again, it was like, yo, you gotta learn how to spit game. You gotta learn how to talk to a girl. You gotta know what they like. Also, I was in a 5-year relationship when I was out here, and that girl whooped my ass. And like, she made me like really be able to, catch any type of girl. Yeah, so it's a different ballgame.
So speaking about Matt, Chris and Matt, how did you guys feel about the way they navigated this competition? Because throwing you under the bus on the way out was intense to watch.
Y'all gotta understand something. During this time process, we had no idea who was snitching. Like straight up off the rip. Colin came back from his date looking like a sad puppy. He went in his room and talked to Jared. He was upset. He didn't want to talk to anybody.
We had no idea.
We had no idea until the show came out what they were actually up to.
Wow.
Yeah, and we knew they were brothers like the whole time. They were just finessing, and like once it came to light at the elimination, it was curtains from there. It was curtains.
Yeah, that was crazy. I mean, that's the thing is like I actually didn't talk to Matt or Chris the entire time. And there was someone who actually was there was multiple people that were scheming against me. Like a lot of people, and I heard this after the show, like a lot of people were like, bro, like everyone wanted you out. Like people thought you were running the show. Like people thought you had like bat phones and stuff like that. And like that the producers like had you on, like stuff like this. So people were scheming against me. I knew that Matt was a bitch.
Oh my.
Off rip.
Sheesh.
Because I would literally walk up to him and be like, yo, you're a pussy. Like you're a little bitch, bro. And he would do nothing. And I knew that, but I didn't know that he had dirt on me from other people circulating information around. And again, the whole girlfriend thing that pops out, it's like, we're in quarantine. Everyone finds people, you have your phone in quarantine. So everyone's sitting there on people's social medias looking at stuff. They see like, a recent photo or something, and then immediately, draw conclusions about certain things.
Matt was wild with it though. He was listing dates, times, comments, captions.
Everything, bro. He was in the comment section of mine and Lauren's stuff. Like, what are you doing, bro?
On set, our jaws were on the ground. And what made it worse was when CJ was like, Casey, is your boy doing that? He was like, huh? What? No.
Casey was a ride or die.
Yeah, but how he did it was like, dude, you could have been way more less sus, bro.
It was
like,
so
just
sus.
Like, nah, bro.
It might have just been how they cut it, but that shit was hilarious.
But Casey was like,
And meanwhile, like, I'm not trying to like put anyone on blast here, but like, yo, half the cast went in there with girls, and no one said anything. Like, that's the thing is like, you could have eliminated me right off rip, but I would have never talked shit on anyone besides Matt and Chris. But I still wouldn't even bring up if they had girls back home. I don't care. Like, that's not my game. So you know when people don't have game, like, they got to take cheap shots. And when people feel intimidated and stuff like that, like, they're going to, you know, air out your dirty laundry. Like, that's how it's going to be. Little naughty possums over here. But, like, Chris, I will say this. After running that back and seeing him in the interviews, like, Chris, I don't like you, but, like, dude, you had a MVP year in the interview rooms, bro. Like, and you were just annoying, bro. Like, he was just so annoying. It was like, this is good TV. Like, you're annoying, dude.
Well, what was interesting is seeing the confessionals and seeing like how when they actually were in front of the ladies, it wasn't translating. It was like super confident and super like, I got this. And then in front of the ladies, they were just choking. And it was just like, this isn't correlating.
Yeah.
I know you.
I don't even think they showed Matt talking to one girl.
Probably not. Well, I mean, he was going for Sarah, but then she just cut him. She just was like, I'm not with it.
Yeah, because he was too nervous. He couldn't even speak.
But, like, not even in their defense, just in general, like you said, like, there's 27 outfits. And you are no longer the hot shit of your town. You're not the athlete of college. You're not, like, you know, the person always getting tables and shit. Like, you got to stand out. And so for you to have the courage to even go and grab somebody, to
that's
be like,
facts.
Hey, this convo's over, my man. It's my turn.
Yeah, that was intense the way they swapped and kind of had to interrupt. And, you know, you're right, too, because in our culture, when we go out and we meet someone and we grab Instagrams, right? We get that little profile of the numbers of followers. Do you have a blue check? But this was completely on you. Like, you're stripped from that. So we don't know, like, if you were the head of your football team, if you were a standout. We don't know any of those things. We know how you are in this room. I know you mentioned being the only Garrett on the show. So I need to know, how did you feel when Garrett Powers read that poem?
You know, actually, it's funny because how that was cut versus how it was, I actually had a tear in my eye after he said the poem. Not trying to get emotional, but I look over at Casey and Casey goes, "Are you crying, bro?" And I was like, "Bro, I'm not gonna lie, that was like pretty good." Like, so, but like whenever they show that, it's like I did say like in my interviews, I was like, I mean, come on, let's get serious. Like there can only be one Garrett. Like, yeah, it's funny. It was like a giant high school though. It was like you see it where everyone clicks and stuff like that. You know who the king of the frat is. You know who the pledge master is. You know.
But that was
true.
That was a running theme as well. Like, we know you guys are there for romance or money, but there was a lot of bromance going on.
Yeah.
So I know you and Casey, or just the bonds that were developed. Are you guys close with some of the guys now, or are you and Casey still cool?
Oh yeah, Casey's like my best friend, and like he's coming out. He's actually gonna stay with me until. You know, he's gonna stay with me probably for the next month or so until he can kind of get his feet wet and stuff like that. Because again, like I look at Casey and I told him this on the show. He reminds me of my little cousin. He's like the one person that I would really do anything for.
Awesome.
As long as he doesn't throw me under the bus like he does at one point. But yeah,
he was riding for you though.
He was. Well, yeah, you'll see.
Okay, we gotta keep watching. 'Cause there's more. We didn't see it all. We gotta keep watching.
Yeah, we'll see it all. But yeah, as long as he, you know, stays being loyal and, you know, riding, like, again, like I'm gonna have him come out here. He's coming out actually next Wednesday or Thursday. I'm gonna pick him up from the airport. He's gonna stay with me and really, you know, try to really get him to blow up. 'Cause again, like he's from a small town and stuff like that, and it's hard, man. Like it's hard to like not really have any guidance and stuff like that. Like I said, like my little cousin, I love him to death. Casey, same way.
Yeah, and I love that because in the show, I know you spoke about being adopted, which is something I didn't know about you either. And it just showed, I feel like you guys were growing throughout the show and really revealing what you've gone through. So it's awesome that you were able to find a bond as, you know, or that bromance with Casey. So that's awesome.
Yeah, Casey's the man.
So what do you guys see next for you? You know, what are some career goals or aspirations?
Shoot, honestly, I would love to go into like content creation and just being managed and just start working with companies.
Yeah.
I love just creating things. And so if I can like help you boost anything that you have or own, put my people on back at home, like anything, make connections, like I know this person, I know that, like I'm here for it. You know, I want to spread the love, spread the wealth.
Yeah, I think it's Diddy that says this, but like, you know, I'm not a businessman. I'm a businessman, and I think when Jay-Z says that, and that's the thing is like, you know, same with like how Mark Wahlberg runs his life. Like I want to get. I'm already talking to a couple of directors for movies and stuff like that. I want to go into film. I originally came out to LA for film and stuff. Then I met a girl and realized it cost money. So then I put my business and math degree to the test. But like, you know, I've always wanted to be, you know, kind of in front of the camera. Like I'm talking to a company right now in regards to doing my own podcast with actually Mark Moran as being my co-host. Because Mark is he's incredible. He's so smart. And then, you know, also talking about, you know, doing a content house with a couple influencers and a couple TikTok kids. So I kind of want to like kind of put the content creation, like, you know, you and I right now, like with the app that I currently invested in, like FitPlan app, like, you know, doing programs, like Alex Rodriguez is on it, Christian McCaffrey's on it, a lot of big dogs, Ryan Lockley. So us, you know, showing our own like, you know, fitness program and, you know, how we get fit and how we stay fit. Like I think the biggest thing for me is like Mark Wahlberg to a T is in The Rock is kind of what I want to emulate. I don't know if you've seen Wall Street. It's also on, I think, HBO Max. But like, again, running different companies. Like I have a wine line that I'm currently involved with where I invested a lot of money into wine that we're currently brewing right now. I think it's fermenting right now. Also, I have a sweats line that I want to launch, you know, within the next, you know, 3-4 months. So keeping that entrepreneurial grind that I've already had, but also, you know, being behind the camera and stuff like that as well. That's what I want to do.
Come on, Garrett and Fernando. Okay, ladies, so they are a triple threat. They're handsome, talented, motivated.
I'm blushing.
So let's hope that one of the
Thanks,
ladies don't steal them, because, you know, we don't know what happens yet. We don't know. Even though you guys have revealed your status on the show, F-Boy and Nice Guy, we don't know if the ladies will still draw to the F-Boy or take the Nice Guy. So we will definitely see.
Exactly. I mean, there might be some relationships after the show. We're not really sure, man. I mean, really, we don't know. We really don't know.
Between you and Casey?
Yeah.
Because the bromance was,
That's right.
it was so funny when they were cutting the screens and the way you were talking about Casey and the way he was going so hard for you. I was like, I love it. I love it.
There's actually a scene in there. I don't know if they're going to play it, but like me and Casey go on our own date. And it's hilarious. If they play it, it's going to be great. If they don't, I guess they're not about Team Gacy.
Now, some of the tweets and things that I also have seen is, you know, there's so many reality TV dating shows just in general. But I did find that this one was really different. How was it filming with Nikki Glaser? Because she gives such a comedic undertone, and it made it so, it was so entertaining, like genuinely. How was it filming with her?
She's really good at what she does. There were people in her ear, like, I guess, like feeding her jokes or just giving her the like rundown on what to do. But whenever she was off the top, we were crying like the whole time. It was so hard to maintain composure.
Yeah, I think that's with every dating show though. Like even with Ariel girl from Love Island, same thing. They all have mics in their ears and stuff like that. If they need help or if there's like a line or something like that to run back. I thought Nikki was really good. It's funny because when you're there and she's cracking these jokes, you're kind of like, okay, my mind, because I used to be on sets like prior. Like I have a movie that came on Amazon. Don't watch it. It was terrible, but I was leading it. But yeah, you understand how production works. So like when you like, you know, take that into consideration and then you're like listening to her crack these jokes, you're like, wait, how is this show gonna be like produced?
Yes.
So you're like, I'm there, I'm like, how's this being produced? Like, they're not actually gonna put out this line of like of like us nutting on a girl's face. Like, what's going on? Like,
episode when she talked about F-Boys finishing on our face, I was like, am I watching this right now?
Yeah, it's crazy.
HBO has no chill.
But you know what? It was so raw, and it spoke to just how we are in this generation. You know, things online, it's just super raw, super just real. So I thought the show was a great depiction of what we go through dating in 2021.
It is. I personally think so too. I mean, it was like therapy. A lot of the guys who came in there as F-Boys, you know, now after the show, you see who they are. A lot of them have changed from the show, which is crazy. It really is. Like you see people who change throughout it. Maybe they don't show it the entire time, but like there's guys who like, I mean, even like, Even me, bro, a little
even
bit.
Garrett,
Like, yeah, like, bro, I was actually like really starting to like Sarah. But the problem is that you're also watching a girl who you're going on dates with, who's hooking up with some other dude, and it's like,
And that's
as a
your roommate.
guy, you have an ego. So it's like, how do I let down my wall and let someone in
Right.
and want to date them when they're hooking up with my roommate?
That was
A
something.
young CCB, aka Josh, a young Cocoa Butter, bro. Like,
That was something that I
my
seen, like the
dog.
bromance of how it was affecting the romance. So even when I see with OG, Jared, and Colin, who they had a friendship, but then they were also competing for the Kia, it was getting kind of intense because Jared got a little tight when she started making out with Colin and started kind of, so with all these alphas and you're starting to feel a girl and then you see her swapping out. That's what I thought made the show dynamic so interesting because you're seeing these women just rotating these guys out, and it was a little gender role change to watch.
It is. But I will say this though, I'm not trying to. I'm to talk noise because I'm just gonna talk noise. Colin and Jared though, OG Jared and Jared Evans, like, I mean, they were getting a little insecure, and you can see it on camera. You can see all three of them getting a little insecure about certain things, and like Colin and Jared, like OG Jared. And Jared, they were always talking to each other and stuff like that, and they were actually more threatened by Greg the entire time. I don't care what anyone says. Greg was chilling because Greg has game. Like, he was so smooth and stuff like that. So they would like, at first they weren't friends, and then they were like trying to team up on Greg to get him out. They don't really show that much, and then it's like those two battling against each other. Yeah. I mean, the whole love line was ridiculous.
The whole demise to like the OG Jared and Colin friendship was like, it started with me because they were talking shit on Greg and Nakia. So one day in the hub, I was like, you know what, you guys need to just say what you said.
Yeah.
And they tried to gang up on me, but I held my ground. And then that's when they tried to make fun of me, blah blah blah. But after that, I was quiet, and I was making the moves that counted. It wasn't Bro Island for me. I was taking it serious.
Yeah.
So
he's looking for love, ladies.
yeah. So after I called them out, like Colin, like he switched. He was like, oh shit, like he's actually here for a good reason. And now he's like replaying everything him and OG Jared talk about. Right. Like, Jared's talking about getting money, getting sponsorships, having girls in his DM. Like
the entire
and Nando's
time.
here for Nakia. Like, I'm yelling at the wrong dude. Wow. So now they didn't show that, but now that's when Colin and Jared really started going after it. Yeah. Because Colin felt hurt. He was like, damn, like Jared was manipulating me. Right. Like he was trying to.
Which he was, respectfully.
Yeah, I mean, everybody's game was different, whether it was unorthodox or not. Yeah. But like, it worked.
But that's the thing. The people who had like good game, like you, like me, like Greg, like Josh, like it was like, no, we didn't have to, like, I never had to throw Josh under the bus ever. Like the worst thing I said about Josh was like, yo, he's boring. Like, would you rather take TripAdvisor and Yelp, or would you rather come fly the PJ with me? But like besides that, like it was like those two dudes were so insecure over you and Greg, bro, that they were just like battling it out between each other, and like it was just so sad.
What was funny to me was how they were always like, who's number one and number two?
The entire time, bro. Who cares?
We get to
they don't show any of that, bro. They don't show any of that.
And Nikki Glazer's like, Nakia, who's your top person that you want to save? And she chooses me, and I was like,
wow.
Yeah. The entire time they're like 1 and 2, 1 and 2. We're like, dude, how insecure are you guys? Who cares?
Worrying about another man was definitely a turnoff and definitely distracting from the end goal. So, but there's no doubt that you guys were standouts, and I'm looking forward to see who was an F-boy and who was a nice guy out of the two in the end. And we thank you guys so much for coming on set today.
Thank you for having us. So this is a lot of fun.
F-boy, F-bye.
Jaw dropping. I'm still picking mine up off the ground.
Why are you crying? Are you okay?
I hate this man.
This is the type of treatment you get. You're an F-boy.
This is a game, but we are not a game.
Cheers to that.
Hi, my name is Garrett Morosky.
Hey, my name is Fernando Titus.
And you've just been buzzed.